What is cloud computing? So the thing is, let me just compare the two scenario here. Let's suppose we are having one on-premise network and we are having here one cloud network. Okay, so in on-premise network, if we, let's suppose you want to start a small business. Okay, so let's suppose you have started your company like we have started this company crnets.com. So what we need to purchase for starting this company, what we need to do? We need to purchase 2 to 3 servers. For security purpose, what we need a firewall. For the routing related stuff, we need a routers. We need a switches. And apart from this, we also need a internet gateway from where we can get the internet. And we also need some network engineers who can basically manage this particular infra. So whenever you will purchase these firewall routers, switches, and all these stuffs and these servers, what you have to do? Maybe you have to wait till maybe this particular deployment of these servers because you require a cabling, you need a 24 by into 7 power supply, all these things required, right? And maybe it will take around 1 month of time, maybe 30 days of time you require for just setting up these particular things. And you also need to spend so much money on that, right? You require to spend so much money on this particular infra, and this is a new company. You don't sure, you are also not sure your company will run properly or not. It's just idea, and you need this kind of infra to implement that particular idea, right? Now if we will deploy the same thing into the cloud, what will happen? You don't need to purchase any kind of servers. These are the physical hardware which you have purchased. What? You can just rent out these servers. You just rent out these servers from the cloud. You can rent out the firewall services from there. You can rent out the router. Generally, in cloud, they will not charge anything from you for routers, switches, for internet gateway. They will not charge anything. They will only charge for you for the EC2 instance or whatever servers you have rented out. What? You can rent out that server and just host your website over there. And this particular hosting you can achieve in 1 hour. And if you want, let's suppose after 1 month or after 1 year, your business, let's suppose, is not working. You are not getting a profit from there. So what you have to do, maybe you have to close your business, right? In case of cloud, you can just close right away. You don't need to pay extra charges for them. But in case of these on-premise network, what you will do because you have spent so much money on that infra. So that is the like benefit of your cloud computing, guys. Means what kind of infra you want, you will get that kind of infra easily. Okay, so this is the benefit of your cloud computing. So the thing is, cloud computing is an on demand delivery of compute power, which includes like database kind of services. So if you need a database kind of services, you can just get these database services on demand. Means whenever you will use, you can just start using that service. Application services, storage services, and the other services as well available on the cloud. And all these services available on a on-demand basis. You don't need to, you don't want any kind of other infra which you need to set up. You can just log in into the cloud. You can log in into the console of that cloud and just start implementing these kind of services over there. Only the requirement which is you need an internet connectivity. That's it. You need an internet. Okay, now let's discuss some powerful, we can say, cloud provider or top cloud provider. Okay, so in the top provider for cloud services, first one is the AWS. And that's because the thing is, most of the market is captured by the AWS. Around, as per the news, it have captured around 45 to 50% market. Then we do have a Microsoft Azure. Microsoft is Azure also. It generally, that AWS is the first cloud provider which comes in the market. Okay, so that is the also one of the reason it is having the most of the market share. After that, Microsoft is also started the cloud services, and it has also start capturing that particular market. Then we do have a Google Cloud as well. Google Cloud is also increasing his market share. Then we are having Alibaba Cloud and the other cloud provider like Oracle, VMware, IBM, and Fujitsu. So these are the other cloud providers. But the thing is, market leaders are these three: AWS, Microsoft, and Google Cloud. Google Cloud is also known as GCP. Okay, so these are the top cloud providers. Okay, so let me just go there. If you see this particular report of Gartner, so this is the Gartner report. Generally, they will launch these kind of reports every quarter. Okay, and they will just mention who is the market leader into the cloud domain. So right now, if you see here in the leader list, there is a Amazon Web Services, and after that we are having Microsoft Azure, and you will see the difference. Microsoft Azure and AWS, there is a so much gap because he is a market leader right now. Then we are having Google Cloud, and after that these like Alibaba Cloud and Oracle and IBM, these are the just new in the market, and they are just building their customer bases. Just now Alibaba has also like introduced one data center in Mumbai location in India, and it's a like Chinese company. Alibaba is a Chinese company. Okay, so this is the Gartner report, and as per the Gartner, right now Amazon Web Service is the market leader. Okay, so now let me just first we will try to cover characteristic of the cloud. Okay, so the first characteristic of this cloud is on demand self service. On demand self service means whenever you need a service, let's suppose you want to host one of the application. Let's suppose you want to host a application. What you have to do in that case, you can just log into the cloud and just launch one EC2 instance, and on that EC2 instance just run your application. Means whenever you need a service, let's suppose you need a storage service where you need to store your data. What you can just purchase the storage from the cloud right away, because in the cloud basically all these servers storage they are available. Okay, they are having very big data centers where they have created a very big servers for storage, very big servers for launching your instance and other stuffs. Okay, so the thing is, on demand self service means whenever you need a service you can just go for it. You don't need to set up any kind of infra is already provided by you with the cloud provider. Only the thing is, you have to use their resources. So that is the one benefit, which is like on demand self service. And after that, broad network access means in cloud, whatever service you will launch, let's suppose you have launched one web server over the cloud, right? Now you can access the web server for any location, anywhere in the world. Only the thing is, you need internet connectivity. You need a internet connectivity, which means this particular web server is accessible from anywhere. So these kind of flexibility also you will get when you are using your cloud services. If I'll compare that infra with the on-premise resources, what in on-premise you have to basically you have to install your web service, right? And you need a public IP address over there. Then you can able to also access this particular web server from the different locations. That kind of flexibility you will get also into your on-premise web server. But the thing is, let's suppose if there is any power failure happens in your data center, if anything happens, then what you will do? Maybe you will lose these accessing, you will lose use services. But in cloud, basically, they have designed in such a way they do have a multiple power backup and other steps. If one of their data center is goes down, maybe you can start resuming your service from another data center, because they are having very big data center across the globe into multiple locations of the world. Now let's discuss about the scalability. Scalability is also one of the most important feature of your cloud services. So let me just draw one diagram for scalability. So let's suppose I'll give you one example. Let's suppose in US countries there is a sale which is happening on Black Friday, right? So in Black Friday, let's take example of let's take example of eBay. In eBay, generally we do the online shopping and other steps, right? So the thing is, let's suppose in normal days, only 10 lakh people is accessing this eBay. And the thing is that eBay having around 10 servers. These 10 servers is basically more than enough for supporting or for serving these requests which is coming from these 10 lakh peoples. Okay, but the thing is, if there is a Black Friday sale, what happens? Maybe the user count which is 10 lakh that reaches to maybe 100 lakh. Means now user count is increased by 10, right? In that case, what you need to do, you need to also increase your servers. Right now you are having 10 server, maybe in that case you need 100 servers, right? So the thing is, the thing is, let's suppose these 10 servers you have hosted on on-premise network. Okay, now due to Black Friday sale, what you have to do, you have to put 90 another server, and you have just hosted these 90 more servers into your on-premise, right? So that sale is for one day. One day, like users come and they have just they do lots of shoppings and other stuffs, right? But the thing is, after one day, again the user count become 10 lakh, and you are having here 100 servers. So means you have around 90 servers which is having no use now. So here but when we have purchased this 90 servers, we have invested so much money on that. Okay, so the thing is, now this, if you want, if if let's suppose if you are using this particular service into your cloud platform, what in cloud what happens, they will give you one flexibility. For one day you can just use R90 additional servers, and when your sale gets over after one day, you can just remove these 90 server which you have added. You can just go with 10 servers. So that kind of flexibility we will get into the cloud. If we need a server, then we can just scale in and scale out kind of things we will get. If we want more servers, we can increase the server count. If we want less server, we can decrease our server count. And the thing is, One more benefit we will get, we don't need to pay. Let's suppose we have just taken these 100 servers for one day, then only we need to pay the cost of the server for one day only. And after that, if we are using 10 servers every day, then we have to pay the cost for 10 servers only. So these kind of flexibility, or we can say scalability, we can easily get by using the cloud. So that is also one more benefit of your cloud. That is why your cloud become so much popular. Okay. Now, the another characteristics of your cloud is resource pooling. So let me tell you the example of this resource pooling. In resource pooling, what happens generally? Let's suppose you are having a let's suppose you are having few storage devices. Okay. So let's suppose this storage device having a capacity of 1 terabyte. This storage is also have a 1 terabyte, and this is also having a 1 terabyte. Okay. So what cloud peoples do, what cloud providers they used to do, they just combine all these three storage devices and they just create a some kind of virtual kind of memory, which is 3 TB. So now let's suppose there is a customer, if he wants to put a file whose size is 2 TB. In that case, he can easily put that particular 2 TB of file, right? Because he got the 3 TB storage. So this kind of resource pooling is also done by the cloud providers. Okay. So these kind of flexibility also you will get. Now, major services. This is also a very, very good example. In major services, what happens? Let's suppose I'll take a same example of Black Friday sale. So let's suppose in Black Friday sale, the user count or the customer or the users who has visited my website is like 100 lakh, right? Now the thing is, I just want to categorize these users. I just want to categorize how many, on the basis like how many people have access the electronic goods into my website. How many people have basically access my home related appliance, these particular goods. How many people have tried to access the clothes related stuff. So these kind of measurement also we will get. In this user count, we can also easily able to find out from which country people, how many people have accessed. What are the age of the peoples who has shown the interest into this particular goods and services. So these kind of measurement also we can achieve by using the major services feature of your cloud. So this is the one more benefit which we can get by using the cloud platform. Okay. So now let's discuss little bit history about your AWS. So let me tell you the history. So generally, before it was AWS, what they used to do, they have just they are having one shop which used to do the printouts. Okay. So they are having one shop of copy states of in somewhere in US. I'm not sure which place, but so the thing is what they have done, they got so much good like customers for printing and also what they have done, they have purchased few extra servers. Okay, during that time they have purchased few extra servers. So the thing is in this printout shop they used to use these four servers maybe in daytime only, but in night time these servers is not used, right? No one is using these services. So the thing is idea of renting out these servers comes at during that time. Can they rent out these servers in the during the night time? So the idea of cloud is started from that particular point of time. And after that they have just started one learning platform, which is, Amazon Kindle is a learning platform, right? And after that in 2006 they have basically launched AWS officially. They have just launched the AWS, which is like Amazon Web Services, that cloud. And after that, basically in 2010, they have just migrated this AWS with Amazon.com. And after that, basically this cloud service becomes so popular. And in somewhere in 2015 and 16, they have just doubled their market, doubled their benefits. A profit is doubled during that period of time. So now the thing is that after that they have started his journey, and the thing is that's why cloud becomes so popular. In 2013 they have started their certification and other stuff. Okay, so now let's discuss something about the certification. So I'll just go to into Amazon page for this certification. So if you see here, Amazon have three kind of certification. First one is a like foundational certification. Then we are having associate level certification. Then we are having professional level certification. Okay. So the thing is, in funda foundational certification, we are having AWS certified cloud partitioner. This is the first certification which is available. Then in associate level, we are having AWS certified solution architect, associate. Then we are having AWS certified SysOps administrator associate and AWS certified developer associate. So the thing is, as you are a network engineer, so you have to go for this particular certification. This certification is for SysOps admins and this certification for the developer. This is not for you guys. You have to go for the AWS solution architect. In professional level, you can go for the AWS certified solution architect professional. So generally, if you want to go for the certificate, you can focus on the certificate. This is for operational levels where your DevOps engineers comes in a picture, and all these people go for this one. And this is for developers who is like web developer or app developer. These people is basically generally go for this particular certification. So these are the like certificates of your Amazon Web Services. Now, if you see here, basically, I also want to one more thing. Let me just go there. Let me just complete your services in cloud. Okay. So generally, all cloud providers, they basically provides the three kind of services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. You will see these names like everywhere. You will see these are the very popular names. You will see everywhere. And let me tell you one more thing. Your AWS, it focus on infrastructure as a service. AWS always target the customer who want infrastructure as a service. And your Azure, he always target the customer who is focusing towards the platform as a service. And let me tell you one more thing, like Microsoft Azure is also increasing their customer base rapidly. Why? The reason is Microsoft have a very big customer base. I think in every organization, people used Windows, right? And the thing is, whatever services provided by this Azure or Microsoft Azure, it's having a very good compatibility with the Windows operating systems. So that is the also one more reason, like Azure is increasing their customer base in a large extent. Okay, so now let's discuss this infrastructure as a service, then platform as a service, and software as a service, these three things. So let me just take one of the diagram for that. Okay, so first we will discuss what are the things we require in on-premise, right? In generally on-premises, what we are having network. Network includes your routers, your switches, your firewalls, and your cabling and other stuffs as well. Then we are having storage services, storage devices which we use for the storing the data, right? Then we are having servers, and apart from this, on these servers we will run generally the virtualization technology like VMware or Citrix or Hyper-V. What kind of, we need some kind of VMware platform, right? On that, on top of this virtualization platform, we generally install our operating system, right? On that operating system, maybe we need some kind of middleware. Middleware means, let's suppose we want to create a database. That to create that database, we need a MySQL database application running on this operating system, right? So with the malware, then we need a data, and then we need a application. So to host an application in on-premise, what we require? We need all these three. Let me just change the color. We need this kind of infrastructure for launching an application in an infra, right? Now if you see here, let's discuss this infrastructure as a service. So generally when we talk about infrastructure as a service, which means cloud provider, which is like cloud provider will gives you the infra. He will give you the infra only. Infra means he will give you the network, storage, servers, and virtualization. Now he will give these three services. Now on top of whatever operating system you will install, you have to decide. In case of infra as a service, you have to choose your operating system, you have to choose your middleware, you have to choose your data, and you have to choose your application. Means all these things is you have to take care in infrastructure as a service. Whatever operating system you want to use, you want to use Linux or you want to use Windows. What middleware you want to use? You want to use MySQL server or what server? You what kind of data you want to put? What kind of application you want to put? Now in infrastructure as a service, you have also needs to take care one more thing. Let's suppose if there is any issue with these things, network, storage, servers, and virtualization, your cloud provider will provide you the troubleshooting. He is responsible for fixing the issue if you are having any issue. But if you are having any issue with your operating system or with your middleware or with your data or with your application, you have to fix all these services by yourself. Let's suppose your OS is corrupted, your OS is not functioning well, you have to take care all of them. Okay. So this particular service is known as a like infrastructure as a service. Now in platform as a service, what happens? Cloud provider give you the platform. Now on that platform, whatever application you will host, whatever service you will host, you can host this server. So the thing is, in that scenario, your cloud provider is responsible for providing these services. He will provide you the connectivity, which is networking, then storage, then server, virtualization, operating system, and middleware as well. But the thing is, now on top of this middleware, you can just run your application. This is known as a like platform as a service, where you only need a data and you need your application. You can just host your application, and if anything wrong happens with your application or data, you have to responsible. If anything wrong happens with OS or middleware or virtualization or storage, you have to take care of all these things. Okay. Now there is a one more model provided by the cloud provider is your software as a service. In software as a service, what happens? They will give you everything. They will give you everything. What happens? You can just start using that service. They will provide you everything. Only you need to just start using this particular service. So this is the model of your software as a service, guys. So these are the main three model which we need to understand. Now if we talk about the advantages of your cloud, so like it is flexibility. Availability means it this kind of infra is available 24 by 7. You have a backup copies of between multiple data centers. If there is any flood is happening in India, maybe you can resume your services from US. These kind of flexibility you will get. Accessibility, it is accessible from anywhere. Scalability, we have discussed. Multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is also a one more benefit where you can basically create multiple tenant over there and you can just host your services. Disaster recovery, they will provide you the disaster recovery. Cost of ownership means whatever services you will use and whatever time for this services you used by you have to pay the cost. And metered services, like we will get the metrics and other stuff. These kind of flexibility we will get by using the cloud computing or cloud services. These are the few benefit of your using this particular cloud services and all. Nowadays, if you guys remember, due to COVID situation, right? Most of the people is like whatever data center we are having in our own premise, because people is not allowed to go anywhere, right? So the thing is, during that time, if anything wrong happens into this on premise network, who will fix? But the thing is, if you are running your application into your cloud platform, you don't need to worry about that. Anything wrong happen in your on premise network, you don't need to worry about it. If you are having your application running on cloud, you can just raise a concern with the cloud provider. They will responsible for fixing these kind of issues. So these kind of flexibility also you will get by using the cloud provider, guys, by using the cloud technologies. Okay, now how we generally deploy this cloud and all. So the thing is, we are having few deployment models as well. In deployment models, either generally whatever deployment we will do. So let's suppose we are getting the service from AWS, right? So the thing is, whatever application we have hosted into AWS infra, this kind of deployment is known as your public cloud deployment. This is the public cloud, means there are so many customers, they are using their services. So we are having a public cloud where we are using the services of like AWS or services of Azure. That another example of your deployment cloud deployment model is private cloud. Private cloud means what happens? You need to create your own infra into your on-premise network. You need to purchase big servers, big networking devices, which is routers, switches, firewalls. You need a proper connectivity with redundancy. You need a 24 by into 7 power backup. All these kind of things you require to build this particular private cloud. And generally, people focusing on hybrid kind of cloud model, guys. So what is the hybrid cloud model? What they will do, they will put few servers into the public cloud and few servers into the private cloud, and they just make the connectivity between them. So this is the hybrid cloud model. In hybrid cloud models, maybe whatever public cloud they are, maybe they are using two public cloud. They have hosted few applications on AWS, few application on Azure. and few applications they are having into their private cloud network. Maybe the information like confidential information, other stuff they will put into this private cloud. The information which is not too much secure, they will put into these cloud providers. Maybe some information they are having in AWS, some information they are having in Azure. So right now people is focusing on this hybrid cloud model, guys. So this is the like three models, deployment models of your cloud. Now, this is the very good question. Like people ask this particular question, what are the hypervisor used by the cloud platforms? So if I talk about the AWS, AWS uses the hypervisor which is Citrix as a hypervisor for virtualization, means it is using the Citrix platform for the virtualization. Microsoft uses the Hyper-V and VMware uses vSphere EXI. So these are the like virtualization platform used by these particular cloud providers. Okay. Now let me just go through with the, let me just show you how we can create the free tier AWS account. So AWS gives you the 1 year of free tier account. So what you have to do, you have to go to into Google, just type here google.com and just type AWS free tier account. Click on this AWS free tier account and just click on create account, create a free account. And everyone needs to create this particular account, guys. Just remember, I want like everyone needs this particular account. What you need to create this account, you need a email address and you need one credit card or debit card. So just remember, in case of debit card, don't use these RuPay and other basic card. Just it will support Visa and Mastercards, and also it will support some virtualized card. If you are having any virtualized card, it will also support these particular cards. And when you will create this free tier account, that account is valid for 12 months. So the thing is how you can create it, just go there and just put one email address. So let me just put one email address. Choose the password. I am just choosing one password here and just give the account name. So you can give any name. You'll just generally give your name actually, like my AWS account, and just continue. So this is the step number 1. Continue, don't save. So the thing is you also need to put this particular information. So let me just refresh it. I will put this number MANFVA. Let me just continue. Okay. After that, it will ask contact information. How do you plan to use the AWS? Business for your work, school or organization related, or personal for own projects? Just select this personal level because you want to create that personal account. Full name, give your full name, give your phone number, and the select your country. I will always select this country and just put your address, some bogus address you can put like Delhi. Like this you can put some address. And what I read the, I just agree on, click on continue. And here you have to put the credit card details, credit card or debit card details. When you will put these details, it will detect deduct the amount of 2 rupees, and after some time you will get refunded as well. It will just use these things for the verification purpose. It will also ask you the PAN number. If you want to put, that is okay. If you don't want to give, don't give. After putting this thing, just click on continue and verify, because I don't have this credit card and other stuff, so I don't want to put here. But this is how you have to basically create the AWS account. Okay, so that account sometimes take 2 days, or sometime it will activated within 1 hour. Okay, so that's the minimum time. So guys, into next class, what I want, everyone needs to create this particular account this particular account, and after that, because from tomorrow I will start your networking module. In networking I will start like how we will create BPC and other stuff. So I want you guys also doing the same thing during that time. Okay, so now let me just log in into the AWS console. So if I'll go there, so the thing is, whenever if you want to log in into AWS, what you have to do, you have to type here aws.amazon.com. You have to click on sign into the console. I have already logged in, that's why I'm getting this message. Okay, I have already logged in over there. Otherwise you have to put your username and your password. So your username is your email ID. So let me do one thing. Let me just close all of them. If I log out over there, let me just show you how you can log in. So just click on sign into the console. See, it will ask for how you wanna log in as a root user or a IAM user. We have not discussed this IAM user, so just try to log in with root user. Put your email ID, click on next, and put your password over there. You have to first submit these characters, 6XZBV7. So I have just put these characters. I will submit. My password is already there because I have saved that password into my browser. And when you will log in into this particular console, you will get these kind of page actually. And now this is the page where you are doing everything. If you see here right now, and generally when you guys needs to work, just work into this North Virginia region or either on Ohio region, because in North Virginia AWS have their 6 data centers, so you will get enough services over there. Don't work into India and other stuffs, other locations. Just do your labs into your North Virginia or either on Ohio region. I also use North Virginia always. I will tell you the reason behind this. So the thing is, when you will log in, you will see this kind of particular prompt. If you want to see the information regarding your accounts and all, you can just go there and you will see the details over there. You will see the account details. If you want to go to into this account, you will get the other details like billing dashboards and other stuff. And I am telling you guys, we will complete all our labs, and you maybe your bill will be around 500 to 1000 rupees only. Within this money we can able to perform all kind of labs, guys. You don't need to worry about that. Here you will get the cost explorer. You will get all kind of details like budget, if you will set your budgets and all, budget reports, saving and plans. So this is the like cost management dashboard actually. If you want to see the other stuff like overview, you will get all these details, guys, here. If you want a billing console, you can go to into the billing console where you can just do your bill management. So right now my bill is 0 INR. If you will see the previous bills, you can able to see your previous bills here. Like just let me, if I check my January bill is 18 rupees only. and I have done lots of lab during that time. In December, my bill is 66 rupees. So approximately you will spend around 1,000 rupees and you will able to perform all of your labs. Okay, just follow the instruction, delete whatever resources you have created timely basis. Okay, don't put these resources running into your AWS account, otherwise they will charge you a lot. Okay, so this is something regarding if you want to see check your bills and other stuffs. You will get like which service have charged how much money. You can get these kind of details as well. Cost and uses reports. All these details you will able to see when you want to explore these particular things. Like these are the services which have charged me how much money and other stuffs. Okay. So now let's discuss the services of your AWS. So what, just click over there in services and you will see these are the services provided by the Amazon. So Amazon provides around 200 plus services. If we talk about the services, then most of the time we are dealing with the compute service, where in compute we always deal with your EC2. In compute, we are having Lightcell, Lambda, Wedge, Elastic Bench Stack. There are multiple services, but we will not use all these services. And also, when you are working in an organization, because AWS have 200 plus services, maybe you are only working into these 10 services. And the most important service are EC2. In storage, you always is working with S3 service. And after that, basically in database is also very popular service, and there you always work with RDS or either with DynamoDB, and in most of the cases people use relational database. In management and governance, this is also one of the service where you will work with CloudWatch in most of the time, and this cloud formation and CloudTrail, these are the services where you will work into this particular. Apart from in machine learning, they are having multiple services. But if you are not using this machine learning and other stuff, then you don't need to explore these particular service. And the other popular service is, let me go down. People are also working with these migration service. We will also see how we can do the database migration, how we can do the on-premise server migration. We will see these things practically. We will have a lab on that, guys. Okay, and after that we will also working with this networking content delivery, where we will explore everything into your BPC, because BPC provides you the networking service. So we will explore all the feature of BPC. Then we will also go with the route 53, CloudFront, all these service we will see. It is also having like media services, security and identity services, where we will deal with IAM. So it is like it also provide internet of the service, business applications, analytics. So there are so many services provided by the AWS, but we are not touching all the services. We are just touching the most popular services, and I will also try to explain the services which you required for networking purpose perspective. As you all are the network engineers, so I will just explain you this particular things, so you can able to easily deploy the things into your AWS. Let's suppose you want to deploy the firewall over there, how you can deploy it. All these things we will see. Let's say you want to migrate a on-premise server, how you can do that, how you can use this S3 service. In S3 we will discuss multiple things. Then we will also give you what is EFS, what is FSX, what is S3 Glacier, what is storage gateway service. This service is also very popular service, where we can connect the storage of your on-premise storage and your cloud storage together. So these kind of things we will see practically. I will totally focused on your labs. I will not give you much theory on these particular things, guys. Okay. So this is the like overview of your AWS. And from tomorrow, what I'm starting with your BPC, which is a most popular service in your AWS. So I will start with BPC. In BPC, we will see how we can create the BPC, what is subnets, what is route tables, what is internet gateway. All these services we will basically see in details. What is security ACLs, what is security groups, what is firewalls, all these things, what is transit gateway, and what is BPNs. We will cover all these things in details. We will set up the BPN between your AWS and your ASA, which we are running into EVNG or VMware like that. So these kind of practicals we will see, guys. Okay.